Hello my fellow freedom builders and welcome back to the channel. Today I've decided that it is time for a little weed. Now last week I had a video where I went through a lot of the EV shares on the market, and today we're going to have a look at I think something like 20 or 25 cannabis stocks. Now the reason why I've chosen the cannabis sector or industry to look at this time is of course that we have had an election in the United States. And besides votings for the president and some senators in the Congress, there were also a lot of local voting about the cannabis right to legalize cannabis. And in this article that I'll link to below, you can see that they have passed it overwhelmingly. They were not close races, says John Hudak. And this is, of course, the vote is in some of the states if cannabis should be legalized. Now, this tells a lot about all the potential in here. It has some very good estimates as to where this industry could go. Could go from 10 to $20 billion industry in the United States to around $50 billion industry in some years. Now, that is the good news, of course, and they are mentioning a lot of the companies that you could look at here. You can get some inspiration. You can see here are the numbers as to how much they can have in revenue in the industry over the next years. Now, but they also say that there are some roadblocks, and one of them is that even though Joe Biden seems to be the president-elect right now, he might not have been able to secure a majority in the Senate. And if the Senate is led by Republican Mitch McConnell, it will mean cannabis legislative measures will remain dead in the water, especially under a Biden administration. I think, as far as I can tell, that the Biden administration, they are open to legalize the cannabis, but Mitch McConnell is a one-man, no machine, as they say. This is just something he doesn't like. He doesn't see the political benefits. And especially if Biden is for it, then you can be pretty sure that Mitch McConnell is against it. So in here, they also discuss some of the roadblocks, some of the obstacles that there might be here. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to have a look at the different stocks in this sector just from a technical point of view. And as you can see, there are quite a lot. And some of them you might not even know, but then you can do a bit of your own research as to the fundamentals, if there are specific markets. Some of these stocks, some of these companies are producing the cannabis. Some of them are selling equipment. There's, for instance, the IIPR, I think the ticker symbol is, which is a company that does all the real estate around the cannabis sector. Some of these are beverages companies that are using cannabis in the beverages. So this is a mix of it all, and you can sort it out. And I think I will pick some of them and go a bit more in depth with them. But right now, we'll just have a look at the technicals. And here, as always, I have the weekly chart here, and over here we just make sure that we compare it to the SPY like this, so that we can see if this stock is doing better than the overall market. Now here at the Aurora Cannabis, you can see that the weekly trend is down, and it has been for a while. Using this strategy, we would have exited up here around 90. Now it is down at 7, and we have the potential of getting in somewhere around 10 to 15 if the trend shifts. But if we just have a look at this, the black line is our 20 SMA, and we have this bluish line here, which is the 50 SMA. What I need to see here, this is a bit of a shorter term strategy, but I need to see the 20 above the 50, and I need to see some bounce or some break up through the 20. And right now, the Aurora Cannabis is absolutely not something I would like to buy. As you can see, this is the effect of the election here, when Biden seemed to be the president, and then I think in many of the stocks we can see when the cannabis sector realized, or the investors realized, that the Democrats might not take the Senate. So let's just go through them quickly. And here we have Afria. Again, They have been in a big downturn here, but we can see that they have started to bottom out. If we compare this with this, here we have Aurora. They are bottoming out a bit, but when we're looking at this, we can actually see a tendency of making new higher highs here on the weekly chart. Then I would like to see some stable trending here in Africa, and I don't see that right now. Right now it's just ups and down with up 80% and down 50%. I don't like that. I do like a bit more stability even in my cannabis stocks. Now here I have marked where I would have entered. I only have a couple of cannabis positions right now. One of them could have been Canopy Growth here, which is one of the grand old men, if I could say so. You can see the same tendency here, that we actually see a bottom, a lower bottom and a higher bottom. So it has begun this turning around, and right now I actually get just the signal I want to get here. We get the break up, we have the 20 above the 50, return to the 20 and a bounce. So this is my, or at least a part of my shorter term strategy. Now the reason why I didn't buy here was that we had earnings coming up just a few days later, and with the short-term strategy I don't like buying just up to the earnings, because I'm going for a bit smaller gains here and I can easily get hit pretty hard if the earnings are to the wrong side. We're going on to Kronos, another where we have seen some huge gains here. Also one of the, at least a bit older in the company, you can see 70-75% rise here. We can also see this tendency of what is, at least in the old days, were called a frying pan bottoming here. We can see this huge frying pan here, and then we just need to see some confirmation here. Not one I would buy right now. Namaste Technology, I remember the first one of the first cannabis videos I made. I said just the name of it could almost make me stay away, because this Namaste, I don't know, some sort of Asian old way of greeting each other, showing that you are all good karma, and well, Namaste Technology. The name was just made me stay away from it. But also the trend, of course, we got the sell signal up here around 2-ish. And now we are down 90%. And there's absolutely no sign of any turning here. So Namaste, no thank you. Then we have Tilray. Also one of the really, really high jumpers. Do you remember in the beginning here in 18? It went up. It was one of the really high ones here. Let's just see. Yeah, 1300% in just a couple of months. I was not in on that run, unfortunately. Then it fell back and has been in a downtrend ever since. Up here, well, not downtrend here, but at least around 100. And now it is down at 7. So as you can see, just some simple trend following strategies would have kept you out of a lot of these drops in prices. Then we have the Harvest Health and Recreation, and that is actually one of the stocks where I think there is some good trades here. And if you want to get into the industry, it is showing a very good technical setup. You can see we've had this very well defined downtrend going up with higher 1, 2, 3, at least 2 higher bottoms here. It's making higher tops. And right now it has bounced here on the 20 SMA, and I think it is it is prone to get some more upside on this one. So the Harvest Health and Recreation, HARV, is one that you should be looking at if you are interested in taking a position here. Village Farms International also showing higher bottoms, but has not really broken out of this area here yet. So I would like to see a breakout here, a little drop back, and then some bounce upwards. Then I think Village Farms might be on the way to some good stuff here. Then in my latest cannabis video, I actually said that the TerraSend Corp was one that you should keep an eye out for. And I said that we had our first entry here, and I didn't take that one at the moment here, but I said that at that point TerraSend was one of the only of these cannabis stocks that were really showing a nice trend reversal. And this is one where I have actually taken a little position here. It was far enough to the earnings, so I didn't mind that too much. And I took it here. I think it was not the exact day. I think it was up at 6.3 or something. I took it here. So that has been a very, very good trade so far. And what I'm doing with this one is actually that I'm watching it on a 4-hour time frame to see if it starts to break down, because I don't want to lose all of my nice gains here. So TerraSend, one that I'm in right now, and I think there's some more upside to that one. If we're going back in time here, you can see we are getting closer to this old high, but I don't think that means too much. I think that the entire industry in United States, especially right now, is moving quickly. Just remember that when you're looking at the cannabis sector, don't fall in love with all this making it legal with cannabis, because as I have mentioned a dozen times before, the cannabis sector is a sector where a lot of new companies can easily get in quickly, meaning that it doesn't take too much capital. Of course, it could take $50 million or $100 million, but it's not like if you want to invest or in the production of a new smartphone that could cost you billions, or a new electrical vehicle or something like that that could easily cost billions. Now here with the cannabis sector, you can easily get in for 10 or 20 or $50 million, meaning that it is very quickly for competitors to enter the market, and quite easy, to be frank. So you need to be aware not to fall in love with the industry just because of it getting legal in a lot of states. You need to see some good technicals and some decent fundamentals. Not many of these are actually making money, but that is for another video. Now, the innovative industrial property here is the one I talked about. I had that in my last video as well, where I think I said that if it could break this top, we could be in for some nice moves upwards. I'm not in this, but as I said this time in the last video, this is one of the stocks that are selling equipment, or they're making money on the properties, on the real estate that they make ready for the cannabis stock companies. So I think I compared them to the shops that sold equipment to the gold diggers back in 1850 or so in United States. Because they didn't have to find the actual gold in the ground. They did sell the equipment to the gold diggers. And this is kind of what this IIPR stock is doing. They are making money on the properties, on the real estate for the cannabis sector. So that is actually quite smart. Right now it is in a good uptrend. I would like to see a bit of a drop back to 20 SMA before we jump any further. Then we have the ETF. I just put this in here. Managers Trust ETF here. Alternative Harvest ETF, yes. And as you can see, the overall ETF is also showing some higher tops here. Some higher bottoms here. But I would not invest in the ETF, because I think there are plenty of good or well-trending cannabis stocks right now that's actually doing way better than the ETF here. Then we have Curaleaf. That is one I'm not in a position here, but I almost entered here. It annoys me a bit that I didn't take it, of course, but as you can see, it is in the green zone here. It is trending very nicely on our weekly chart, and we have here a very good buy signal with a bounce on the 20 SMA, and then some good run up here. Now, if it gets down near to the 20 SMA and the RSI can keep above the 50 line, and we get a good bias day, a good green candle here, then I might enter. Then we have Green Thumb Industries, and again we see a good trend. We see a bounce here just on the 20 SMA, while the RSI is still above the 50, or just down kissing the 50 here. And the second we see that, we see a huge jump up here, and we could have made 30% in just a couple of weeks. Harvest Health and Recreation, didn't we have this one before? I'm not even sure. There are so many of them, but anyway, showing, yes, we had this with the two bottoms here and some potential upside. I think there's some good upside here. I think I have taken both the US and the Canadian version of this in. Then we have CBDMD here, which is exactly the same picture, new higher bottoms, shooting up here, and we are getting to see a pattern here where if we can, let me just show you here, if we can get a bounce from this area here and on the 20 SMA, then that would be a good signal for some upwards movement here, someone you might look for. Also, make sure to take a look at the volume, because a lot of these stocks have very low volume. So if you get in with a larger position, then it might be hard to get out without actually affecting the price. Then we have Truly Cannabis, also one where when I track this every second day or so, just to make sure I don't miss a signal. And there was a very good buy signal here, a good buying day, very close to the 20 SMA, crossing up. All the SMAs are going up in the right direction. We are in the green zone. And we are in the right sector, of course, that also supports the overall movement here. Absolutely one you should have a look at. Scott's Miracle Grow Company. Now, here again, we have a company name where it is a bit cringy, I think, Scott's Miracle Grow Company. But then again, it might still be you should not buy a stock just because of the name. But sometimes I simply think of, how do people come up with this name? It seems a bit, it is a bit strange if you ask me. But anyway, this is a bit messy. I will not buy this right now, even though we have a good uptrend here. As you can see, the SMAs are just shifting up and down here, and there's not really any clear signal. And I would definitely wait for some sort of area here being broken to the upside, a little retracement, and then a good bias bounce on the box here. So not something for me. MRMD, this one I would actually not have included, but I had a question about it. As you can see, this was someone that bought just up here at 5152 that asked me if I thought it would come back up there again. And honestly, I never tried to predict that, but it is it is several thousand%. It should go up. I should not say that it could never go up there, but not someone Mary met, not someone I would bet on, absolutely. Then we have Alethea Health. Again, the exact same picture. We're up around 5. Now it is down 90%. It is in a downtrend, not something I would touch. New Age, I'm pretty sure this is one of the beverage companies that use cannabis in their beers and other beverage. And again, I hope you start to see this picture. New higher bottoms on the weekly chart. Bounce here with a good buying day on the 20 SMA that is going upwards. The RSI staying above 50. That's what we like to see. We could have gotten in here. Would be in a little break even right now, but I think this is one of the stocks that has a good trend and a good momentum that could keep going up. Village Farms International. I mentioned that at some point in a not in a cannabis video, but in a potential growth stock video, and I think that was down here somewhere. It has really gone nowhere since there, in some huge swings. It has spent a lot of time and a lot of effort of going absolutely nowhere. So not one I would touch right now. Way too messy price action. On to the next one, if it will shift here. Medical marijuana. All right, again, huge downtrend. Has been spiking up here with the election, but then again, as I mentioned before, and I know that I get a bit of heat when I say this, but this entire medical marijuana stuff here, it kind of indicates that this cannabis or marijuana should be able to be used for some medical purpose. And right now, it is very scarce with proof that it can heal anything. It might come in the future. I hope it turns out that cannabis is the new great thing to heal just about anything. But when you see the scientific proof right now, there are some indication of a few things, but not really anything that rock the medical world and make Pfizer and AbbVie and all of the others shut down the shop. There's simply no indication that, for instance, it should be able to cure cancer and stuff. So I would be a bit worried about some medical cannabis stocks. But then again, if the buyers want to buy them, then maybe we should too. Now, here's one of the new boys in the class here. And as you know, I need something like a year, maybe 2, to get a good picture here. So from this, I simply cannot get enough information. If you are a short-term trader, you can see some really nice bounces here on the 20 SMA. But I do want to see the weekly chart showing me where are the big players getting in and out and all sorts of stuff. And I simply cannot do that. That's also the reason why I never put my money in IPOs of some sort. Now the next one here is, if we can get it to shift here, Cresco Labs. Also one of the fairly new ones, but here we can start to get a bit of history and we can see some very nice downtrend here. We can see new higher bottoms, and we can see some very nice bouncing here on the 20 SMA. Maybe a bit too high now for a quick swing trade, but let it get down here and see if there's some more juice in it. Now, one of the ones I have gotten a lot of questions about is the Planet 13, because it has been all over a lot of the financial YouTube channels. And to be honest, when we looked at it down here, we could see the exact same pattern as we've seen with a lot of the other stocks. New higher bottoms here. And what I said to the guys that asked me was, when it broke this, I said, now you can start looking for an entry. That was down here around 2.8. And to be honest, I have not been in it, but should have been in it. It would have been here around with a bounce close to the 20 SMA, a good green day, and I could have taken it up here. But I would probably have gotten out without much of a profit, maybe 10% or something like that. And after that, it has all become too messy. We're in this kind of triangle formation. And before we see a nice clean breakout here and some decent trend up, I would definitely not buy Planet 13 holdings. I think it has been a bit too hyped up. Yes, I think we are back at the top. That was a quick tour around in something like 25 cannabis stocks. And as you can see, I have a few positions and there are most of them I would simply not touch yet. And that is, of course, you could say the downside with the way I invest, because of course it would be nice to get something like this down here. If I had some sort of crystal ball and I could predict that, then I could make 300% in a couple of days and get in on the next. The thing is that I am not good at predicting, and to be honest, not many investors are. So I just wait. If I should go into Aurora Cannabis, it would probably have to go up here, make a bit of retracement, go up here, show some good bouncing on 20 SMA over here. So it might be up around, I don't know, 20 before I buy it. And a lot of people would say, well, didn't you miss the big run there? And yes, from the bottom and up to 20, we had something like 430%. That would be nice. Of course, just put all my money, just sell my house and my car and put all the money into stuff like this that goes up 400%. That is simply not realistic. And people that is showing you on Instagram and all sort of stuff that they are doing this and they are timing the bottoms and the tops and they are getting it right every single time, that is a lie. And look at this. When it went ballistic last time, it had actually from the bottom and up to where we started to get some good buy signals up here, from the bottom down here, it went up 700%. And you could say, oh no, I'm not buying this because it has already gone up 700%. Yeah, well, then you missed this run up with 360%. And then, of course, it dropped back. I can easily make a living by making 100 200% on these middle parts of a huge trend. And this is, of course, extreme. Often it is only 10 or 15 or 30% of these I take in the middle of the trend. So I never get in at the exact bottom and I never get out at the exact top. That is a bit tough mentally sometimes, but it is the only way actually I have ever been able to make a nice steady profit from my investments. So it also goes for the cannabis sector, and right now there's a lot of hype around it. Be careful not be caught in some trap, some hype trap where you buy just at the top. Just remember that this point here at around 14.50, some people will have bought here to some guy that has been extremely lucky selling it, and they are sitting after 4 or 5 days with a 50% haircut here. Don't try to predict. Don't fall in love with the stocks. Don't believe the hype. Look at the graph. And of course, if you are able to find some fundamentals on the stock, also have a bit of a pick out of if any of the stocks are making some money or are close to it. But sometimes with hype stocks like this, you should not look at the fundamentals. You should simply look at where is the crowd running. And right now it seems like some crowds are running into or maybe also out of the cannabis sector here. A lot of stuff is going on, and you have to watch also the Senate race problems there, because if that is as a complete lockdown due to Mitch McConnell there, then that can easily put an end to this cannabis run that we have seen in the stocks the last couple of weeks. But I made this video because I had a lot of questions about the cannabis stocks. So now you've had the tour. I hope that was a bit inspirational. I'm not a financial advisor, so please do your own research. Also, remember to go into the website that is buildingfreedom.dk to sign up for the newsletter, where a lot of exciting stuff will start coming out very shortly. Remember to subscribe and like the video and all that jazz beneath the video. And take care of yourself and your money out there. I'll talk to you again very soon. Bye for now.